I've been researching pensions and divorce now for nearly 20 years. When I started to look into it, I found that divorced women were really poor in late life, really poor. Because at the time of divorce they were in their 30s and 40s, they often became single moms, they were going to struggle to get into the full-time workplace. They might have got a house out of the divorce, but they didn't get an income and they didn't get a pension. It's widely accepted in the pensions community that the United Kingdom has the most complex pension system in the world. And it's also the case that pension accumulation for men and women in the UK is on aggregate very different.
We did some research looking into women's experiences of retirement income, and it came out from our focus groups that we ran that those women who had been divorced had often lost out a significant amount of pensions that had had a really adverse psychological and financial effect on their futures.
I think the big problem in this area is people don't always realise the true value of a pension.
In the same way that you think about houses, in the same way that you think about your savings, your assets, your car, put the pensions in the mix. And that's for men and women.
When I first started doing this work, pensions were often completely ignored. Don't ignore probably the second largest asset compared to the house, or sometimes even a larger asset than the house.
We need to be thinking about pension sharing as the default starting position for divorce. And secondly, we are now in a situation where a lot of divorces are taking place online. And that brings additional risk into the disclosure and knowledge of pensions. So there is an opportunity, therefore, to make sure that the online divorce system is reconciled to what will be the new pension dashboard.
I'm a solicitor who practices exclusively in family law. For nearly 30 years I've dealt with divorce settlements and the financial aspects of those settlements. And I've watched with increasing enthusiasm and optimism the way in which the law has developed to ensure that pensions are taken into account on divorce. But the recently published report by the Pensions Advisory Group is an extremely helpful document to all of those concerned with divorce, to making the situation rather fairer than it has been. 19 years on from pension sharing, almost to the day becoming available, many family justice professionals continue to feel ill at ease when dealing with pensions. So enter stage right the PAG Report. It is vital reading for us all. If I was to make one change in relation to the law concerning pensions on divorce, it would be ensuring that there's an awareness of pensions right at the start of the process, and that people are required to gather all of the information, whether they're dealing with the case by themselves or whether they're going through the courts.
If I could make a change, I would have pension on divorce reports available to the parties in proceedings far quicker than they normally are. Sometimes it takes 4 to 6 months to get a report. That's in part because it's difficult to get the information, so in part it's a problem with pension schemes, and in part it's because there aren't enough experts doing this work.
I really want to see pensions dashboards. Once we see pensions dashboards and people have a complete picture of their retirement income, that will just make everything so much easier. We really need that infrastructure in place.
If I could ask for one change in practice, it would be before practice. It would be proper training, compulsory training for everybody, for solicitors, for legal executives, for counsel, for the judiciary, so that instead of looking at pension sharing on divorce as a frightening complication, it could be broken down and understood, and fairness could actually be the outcome of the majority of cases.
One of the really interesting things to come out of the Pension Advisory Group work is that lawyers and professionals felt that they would really like judges to take a more proactive role in assessing whether the pension settlement is fair, not to just rubber stamp agreements because you feel you shouldn't interfere with an agreement, but to actually look at it and think, does this look right in the long term?